Today we turn simple tomatoes into an all-time classic. Let's level up. Hello YouTube and welcome to another week of Kitchen Quest recipes, where every recipe is a level up. This week we're going to be making one of my favorite soups, tomato soup. Let's get started. The first thing we want to do is preheat our oven to 350 degrees Fahrenheit or 175 degrees Celsius. While your oven is preheating, we want to prep our vegetables right here. We're going to start with the tomatoes so we can get them in the oven first, and then we'll move on to onions and celery. Always make sure you're washing all your produce when you get them from the store, from the marketplace. They could have dirt, grime on them, so every time when you get your fruits or vegetables, give them a little rinse before you put them in the fridge. So to prep tomatoes, all we're going to do is we're going to core them and quarter them. So all you want to do is put your tomato down, grab a knife. You want your thumb right here, index finger on the other side, and then these three fingers right here, you want to put them right on the handle so you have full control of the blade. Thumb, finger, three fingers on the blade, and you have full control. So all we're going to do is we're going to take the core side and we're just going to slice the tomato in half. Now you have two halves and the core is right here. So what you want to do is you want to angle your knife diagonally. So it's going to be right here. And then all you want to do is cut down, and that core is the tomato. Once again, knife diagonally down, and your tomato is cored. Then what we're going to do from here is we want to put our hands in a claw motion. Make sure you tuck your fingers under so you don't get hurt. And the knife should rest up on your knuckles like that. And then we're just going to go half. Turn it. We're going to go half again. Now repeat that with all the rest of your tomatoes. Half, half. Okay, now that we have all of our tomatoes cut and cored, all we're going to do is we're going to take 2 tablespoons of any kind of oil. It can be vegetable, it can be any oil you want. In my case, I am using canola oil. And all we're going to do is we're going to put the oil and drizzle it on the tomatoes. Make sure it's like as evenly coated as you can make it. Then with your hands, all you want to do is mix the tomatoes up. Make sure all the tomatoes get some oil on it. And now these tomatoes are ready for the oven. We're not going to put any salt on these tomatoes. We're just going to do the oil because I don't want any moisture coming out of the tomatoes. I want the tomatoes to be intact when they come out of the oven. I just want them to be nice and roasted. We're going to draw out the flavor out of them a little bit later when we get to cooking everything together. So tomatoes go in the oven for 30 minutes. We are making our veggie stock for the tomato soup, which is going to be 1 yellow onion, 2 stalks of celery. The celery, just rinse them off. Any dirty pieces, like if the ends are dirty, just break them off and we'll be ready to chop them up. We're going to start with the celery. So all your celery, you want it to be facing up towards you. This means the stalk. You can see the rib. You want to take your knife and you want to go right down the middle. And since we're blending this, it doesn't have to be a specific size. But to practice your knife skills, all you want to do is lay them up side right. So This is the light green side, that's the bottom. This is the dark green side, we want that top. We want the claw. And then all we want to do is run our knife through the celery. All you're doing is using your fingers as a guide. When the knife gets towards your knuckles, move your hand back some more. And just keep going with the rocking motion until all the celery is cut. Just like that. And we never want to use the knife, drag it along the cutting board. What we want to do is we want to angle it flat side, pick it up a little bit, and then you can scoop your vegetables like that. That way we're keeping the blade safe and we're not dulling it by rubbing across the cutting board. Now just do it for the rest of your celery. After the celery, we want to cut our yellow onion right here. So all we want to do is we want to cut both ends off. And then this is the root. We want to cut as close to the root as we can. So like, I say like right here. Then we want to find the root on the bottom of the onion. It's going to be this little guy right here. It's usually in the center. Sometimes it will venture off either up or to the sides. So once we find the root, all we want to do is we want to cut it in half through the root. Which gives us 2 halves of onion. And then we want to peel the onion. I always take the first layer off. So as you can see, there's one layer right here, and I just peel it off with the skin to make the other onion. First layer, peel it off. Usually this layer is a little rough, so that's why I always take off the first layer. Now we got 2 halves of onion right here. We have the root on this side. I always put it away from me. Root on this side, put it away from you. Now with the same claw motion, we want to hold the onion by your thumb right here. And you want to hold the onion with your 2 fingers right here. This will be your guide, and all we're going to do for slicing the onion is we're going to go through the line right here. So using your finger as a guide, thumb in the back. All we're doing is going down. Every time I make a chop, my fingers are moving backwards. So chop, backwards. And that is a sliced onion. Once again, you have the root here, put it right here. And with the knife, let's go back. Now when your thumb runs out of room on the onion, that would be the sign to flip it over. So let's clear this onion out. So now your thumb is going on this big side and your fingers are still guiding the onion right here. So just same as before. When you get to the end, last slice. And there you go, sliced onions for your tomato soup. So now we have our onions and our celery cut right here in the pot. All we're gonna do is add 4 cups of water to this pot, and we're gonna put it on the stove to simmer for half an hour, 30 minutes, and this is going to become the veggie stock for the tomato soup. We are at the stove right now, and we want to make our veggie stock. So we have our onions, our celery, our 4 cups of water. All we want to do to add to this is 1 tablespoon of salt. 1 tablespoon goes in. Could be a little more. We'll fix the tasting at the end, but if you added a little more than a tablespoon, it's okay. So we want to set our burner for medium high, and we want to let this simmer for 30 minutes. Our veggie stock is in the pot with the salt, with the celery, with the onions. Once you see bubbles forming in the pan, that means you can start your timer for 30 minutes. And after the 30 minutes, we will have veggie stock for the tomato soup. So it's been 30 minutes, and as you can see, most of the water has gone out. I would say like 80% of the water has gone out. That is perfect for stock. So what we want to do is we want to turn off the oven. If you have your fan on, turn off the fan. We're going to keep our pot here, and we're going to grab our tomatoes out of the oven. The thing with the tomatoes is it doesn't really matter how long you keep them in there. I like to keep them 30 minutes, but I also like to keep them in until the veggie stock is done, because what we're going to do is we're going to combine these vegetables right here and the tomatoes. We're going to stick them in the fridge overnight because this is a 2-day recipe. You can also let it just cool for half an hour before you blend it, but trust me, the 2 days is worth it. It will be the best tomato soup you'll ever have. So let's get our tomatoes out of the oven. Okay, as you pull your tomatoes out of the oven, they're gonna be nice and roasted. You're gonna have like a roasted skin on top. They're gonna be deep and colorful. And what that does is that deepens the flavor of the tomatoes. So all we want to do at this point is we want to grab the tomatoes and put them inside the stock, and they'll be ready for tomorrow, or 30 minutes, whichever one you pick. Tomatoes go right in the pot. Make sure you get all of them. Get all of the juice in there too. We want to put a lid on the pot. And this is all we're doing for tonight. I will see you tomorrow. And welcome back to day 2 of tomato soup. All we're going to do today is we're going to blend the soup. We're going to put it in a new pot, and then we're going to season it, thicken it if it needs to, and it should all be ready to go. So what you want to do is you want to take the lid off the pan. And if you did do it overnight, you'll see it's right here. You'll have the stock on the side and all the vegetables right here with the tomatoes. And my blender will be this little guy. And you can do this in one batch if you have a bigger blender. I have this little guy, so we're going to be working in batches. So all we're going to do is we're going to scoop some soup into the cup. Blender goes on. And blend it. After it's blended, just put it in the pot and keep going. Now that we have our soup all blended, we need to make a couple of decisions before we move on to the stove. First, you want to get like a spoon or a stirring utensil, and you want to check the thickness of the soup. I like my tomato soup really thick, so this for me would be perfect. But if it's too thick for you, you can add some water, or if it's not thick enough, you can add some cornstarch. Any way you want to do it is fine by me. It just depends with your preference. So now we just tasted it. We get a little bit of tomatoes. It does lacking of salt because all we're getting is like tomato water. Let's bring it to the stove and let's finish the soup. So here we are at the stove, right next to the KitchenAid, and let's finish the soup. So first thing we want to do is turn our stove to medium heat. We want to cook this low and slow. But the basics of tomato soup is fat, sweetness, and salt. So we're gonna build on these three flavors to make the perfect tomato soup. In terms of fat, we're gonna be using salted butter. Gonna be using the salted butter, and we want 2 tablespoons of butter. So it's gonna be right here. 2 tablespoons of butter equals about 28 grams of butter. So 2 tablespoons of butter or 28 grams goes right in. We don't need to cube the butter or anything because as the soup heats up, the butter is going to melt in there. Next ingredient in our tomato soup, we're going to be adding sugar. We're going to be adding 1 tablespoon of sugar, which is about 25 grams of sugar. And last but not least, we're going to be adding 1 tablespoon of salt, which is about 8 grams of salt. After we added all our ingredients, all we want to do is give this a quick stir. You can use a whisk, you can use a spoon, but you just want to get all these ingredients stirred together as the soup is heating up. And once you get everything incorporated, we want to turn the burner to about medium low, and we want to let this hang out for about 20 minutes. After 20 minutes, we have a really good boil going on. Let's just mix everything together. And then we want to give it a taste again. And you can really taste the tomato coming out. Now you want to be tasting if the soup is too sweet, too salty, not enough sweetness. I am happy with this flavor. I'm happy with the consistency. Consistency is very thick. Flavor is a little bit sweet, a little bit savory. The perfect tomato soup. And all we have to do is plate it. To plate it, all we need is a bowl and a ladle. And all we're going to do is ladle the soup into the bowl. Do yourself a really good serving. And here we go. We have a bowl of the perfect tomato soup. But wait. We can make this even better. Just give me 1 second. And surprise, it's grilled cheese from last week. The perfect pairing for grilled cheese is tomato soup. Let's cut this in half. Once again, in case you missed it from last week, cheese bowl. And all we want to do is get cheese on our hand and just give it a little dip in the tomato soup. And then taste. And the cheese pairs perfectly with the tomato soup. It's creamy while the tomato soup is sweet, salty, savory. The perfect pairing for the perfect tomato soup. If you guys like this kind of content and want to see more, remember to like and subscribe to the video. I have recipes coming out every single Friday. The recipe will be down below in the description below. And as always, matane!